Oh, my favorite picture. Here it is. Glenda, I want you to explain to me what's happening here. Can you give me some more details of what's going on here?
Yes. Well, here at Verity Mortgage, we make the home buying process possible. Again, available nights and weekends, closing, value to our clients. We are your resources for your clients, your agents, your title companies, your business partners, and we are here for you, again, regardless of the time. And you can always text "Own My Home" to 474747, and we'll get y'all squared away.
Get you pre-qualified so you can make an offer on one of these awesome houses. All right. Moving along. Okay, so this is a little segment I wanted to do today. We do this from time to time. It's a Did You Know? And I want to talk a little bit about for sale by owner. Okay, we talked a little bit about this the last time we did our show, but I want to go into a little bit more here because I really think it's an important point to hit on. And we're coming out of a market where, say, for the last 10 years, there were so many buyers in the DFW area and so many people that were out looking at homes that, if you wanted to put your house on the market, you could probably get it sold without a whole lot of promotion. It depends on where you're at and price points. There's variables there. But for the most part, over the last, say, 5 to 7 years, if you wanted to sell your house, you could probably do it. You could get a contract. Now, that doesn't mean that there's a lot of other pieces that you're missing, but it was possible. It has changed dramatically lately. And as you know, Glenda, especially in those higher price point areas, homes are sitting on the market now for 30, 60, 90 days. Now, if you're at these 250 and below, like we've been showing, those things are still moving fast. But here's where it gets into some issues. And I want to kind of go over some of the pros and cons of trying to sell your house on your own. Now, obviously, most of the people tuning in here are real estate agents, and we'll have a few buyers and sellers. So, we're coming at this from a certain angle, but it really is true. When you look at listing a house by yourself as a for sale by owner, when I put these pros and cons up here, this is really what it is. And I want everybody to kind of pay attention to this, because if you list your house by yourself, is there a chance that you don't have to pay that realtor commissions on the listing side and make a little bit more money? Of course, we can't pretend like that's not a possibility. Of course you can. But the problem is how much could you really get for your house, right? Did you really sell your house at the top end of the market? Did you sell it to, or did you present it in a way that you could get the most amount of money? Were there small changes that you could have made to the way your home was staged, or pictures that you had up in the house, or if you had a house landscaped, or did you need to repair that hole in the drywall, or did you need to change out the flooring? I don't know. Those are the questions that agents answer and can tell you, because they are experts in their area and in their field and in their part of town. And this is where they present the true value, okay? So best case scenario, again, is that you make a little bit more money from your property than you would have if you wouldn't have used an agent, okay? Worst case scenario, which is where we get into these cons, is you really don't have a whole lot of contract knowledge typically. So unless you're in the business, you're a title person, a lender, an agent, or whatever, most people only buy a house, what do you say, Glenda? Maybe 3 or 4 times in their whole life, something like that?
Absolutely, 3 or 4. Mm-hmm.
So that being said, this isn't something that you spend a whole lot of time on. This isn't your job, right? This is Glenda and I's job. These are the agent's jobs. But this isn't your job if you're a seller. Okay, your job is to, be a landscaper or work for Bell Helicopter or whatever. That is your job. Your job is not to sell your house, so you don't have a whole lot of expertise there. So when it comes to setting up the contracts, who's paying for the title insurance? Who's paying for the survey? Who's getting the home warranty, and who's paying for that? When are you closing? How much earnest money do you need to put down? How much is the option? What happens when the appraisal comes back and it's less than what you agreed to the contract price? Who's going to solve that problem? Who's going to negotiate between you and the other agent as to who's going to pay for that, or who's going to meet the difference? Well, all these things are things that come up. So as a seller, all you're thinking in your head is, hey, if I list my house by myself, I'm not going to make it, or I'm going to make more money than if I don't. Okay. What you don't realize is that once you get under contract, and I think any agent would agree with me on this, once you get under contract as a seller, you lose control of the transaction. Would you say that that's fair, Glenda?
I do, absolutely, Mike.
Right up until you have the contract executed, the seller's in the driver's seat. You can negotiate, you can cancel, you can do all kinds of stuff, accept whatever offers you want. Once the contract accepted, then the buyer's in the driver's seat. And the odds are that the buyer is going to have representation, okay? Sure, there's a few buyers out there that may not, but most buyers out there are using agents because they're not paying for them, so they need them. So at that point, the buyer's agent is in the driver's seat, and you being at a disadvantage because of your lack of knowledge, not because of not knowing, but just because you don't do this every day. And you can go look on the internet, sure. But as we all know, the internet's full of all kinds of stuff. Some of it's true, some of it's fake news. So we have.
Wait, are you saying Zillow is not accurate from home value?
I'm saying that it's possible that more than likely that's not going to be accurate. Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Okay.
Just want to make sure that's correct. All right, go on, Mike. I'm sorry.
So all of that to be said is we want to make sure it's not that you can't list your house if you want to. There's plenty of services out there, and it is cheaper to list it without a listing agent. Let's acknowledge that. We're not going to say that it's not. But what are the sacrifices, and what are you really losing if you don't? And the main point I want to drive home to sellers that are even considering this is realize that once you execute that contract, once you fill in the blanks, get your contract done, and get it taken care of, there is nobody working for you at that point. Everybody's on the buyer's side. The lender, the seller, the title company, all those places are typically going to be on that end and helping those people drive the transaction, not you. So if you need someone representing you to make sure that you're not having to come down on your purchase price and that the buyer can bring more money because they have the ability to, and you're making sure that, okay, the appraisal came in less, but now you're going to pay for the title policy and I'm not paying for it as the seller. These are all things that you can negotiate. But if you don't know this stuff going into it because you just think you can earn a couple extra $1,000s, not only could you not, maybe because you're not selling at the top of the market, but you're also not planning for the contingencies that happen once the contract's executed, right? So,
great job, Mike.
Lesson learned, don't list your house by yourself. It's not the best idea. It's like,
Who's a trusted real estate agent?
my favorite, one of my favorite comedians, Chris Rock, says, you can drive your car with your feet, but that don't make it a good idea, okay? So just because you can doesn't mean you should. All right, that's enough of me rambling on there. Okay.